Good morning. This is Nick with Perfect Picket. We are off to an initial consultation today. This is kind of an interesting one. It's not unusual, actually. We have a homeowner who reached out to us via email through our website, and they are having a home built, actually built by Skogman Builders. They are having it built out near the new Aldrich Elementary, a very popular kind of booming development. The homeowner actually doesn't even move in for 3 weeks, so they don't close on their house isn't finished yet. This is the best time, if you're having a home built, to reach out so that we can go out, estimate the fence, start talking about, well, do you want chain link or vinyl, whatever your goals are. The homeowner actually had said that this particular fence, they are open to options. They would like privacy, but their main goal is their dog. They're moving from a house that has a fence, so the dog is used to a fence, and now they're going to a home with no fence, a big yard, no fence. So they don't want to be the bad neighbors right out of the gate chasing their dog down the street. Good call calling us. We can definitely fix that and find a good solution for getting the right fence for their needs, not only to keep the dog in, but accent their property. And so we, upon discussing it with the homeowner, he said, well, chain link would be okay, or possibly getting a vinyl fence. And then I discussed our wood options, which are not what you typically see. So right now, the homeowner is not there, which is typical when the house is still being built. I'm gonna go out there, take some measurements, and see the terrain. That's the big thing. It's just knowing the distances is obvious. It's point A to point B, and a lot of times the plat document will show that. However, what you want your fence consultation or fence consultant, whoever is providing you an estimate or a quote, they really have to see the terrain, because it's going to determine how many posts I put where. There's maximum post spacings, but really I want to make sure that the posts I put in are not just covering the distance and providing a secure, strong fence, but are going to allow for that fence to transition and roll over the ground. Very aesthetically pleasing. Pretty important. Slopes around houses are pretty important. We want to know, well, how severe is your backyard slope? How severe is it coming off of your house? That normal watershed that you've got to get drain water or rainwater rather away from your foundation. Those are all things you want for a house, but for a fence, you want to know that that transition is going to look clean and is going to be detailed. So those are the kind of ideas and things I'm looking for today when I go out. You'll see a video right here about me talking about and walking through the yard that I see. And then I'll recap some of my thoughts at the very end when I get done walking this fence, doing the kind of getting my estimate, the consultation, and seeing what makes sense for the homeowner here. We're going to provide him, once I get the layout and the drawing, for actual dimensions, take a video of what the terrain looks like so I can reference it in the future if I need to. I'm going to send him a quote with the 3 different options that we discussed on the phone: wood, vinyl, and chain link. And the benefits, the cost, the differences, they're all fences, but they definitely have different characteristics. Privacy versus, just, hey, I want to keep my dog in, with durability. And so we're going to send those over to him. The good thing is anything that he may review with his wife and say, we like this, but we don't like that. What does a picket fence cost instead of a white vinyl privacy fence? Well, hey, we can definitely go ahead and quote that out once I get these layouts. But let me jump over to that video and show you what I'm seeing as I walk around the yard. Wanted to give this video, which we typically do, just to kind of recap what I'm seeing, what we're suggesting, and just to add clarity to the overall quote and what our scope of work is, and kind of anything that I see in the yard. Your yard, obviously very simple at first glance. It is simple. There's definitely not anything really concerning. There are a couple things with the easement, just because we have experience with them, wanted to point out to you. But other than that, nothing groundbreaking. First, the quote I have is, I'm on the patio side. That's the short side there, a short little bottleneck. We'd be coming off this back corner like your drawing shows. We'd be coming out, we have 21 feet to come out.
The one thing that we typically try to do is not follow this sod line as a rule, because like you can see down in that neighbor down there, if I'm an inch into to the right, to this side, I'm going to be in that neighbor's yard potentially, or if I'm an inch over here, or we don't. So what we do is we actually locate the pins with our metal detector. Actually, I should say it's magnetic locator. A metal detector is kind of what you use on a beach. A magnetic locator is what you use to find property pins. So we will find the property pin in the front rather, and then the property pin in the back, in the middle of that easement, and then we will pull a string and we will know, hey, this is officially Zach's property line. When we install a fence, regardless of whatever type of fence it is, we try to be 2 inches into your property line. That way, it is just safe. In Iowa, there's what's called a shared fence law, meaning if I build a fence and it is right on the property line or even a 1/4 of an inch over into your neighbor's, legally your neighbor owns that fence as well, and they can remove the fence without talking to you. We avoid that whole problem, so we try to stay 2 inches in from the property line, especially when we know, hey, we have a neighbor that's going to develop sometime in the future, and who knows what the situation would be. Better safe than sorry. I do have that 21 feet coming out here. We would be putting a 5-foot walking gate. That is a single gate. That's the biggest we recommend for any type of our fence as far as a single gate is concerned, because it allows you to be able to access with a large wheelbarrow or get a patio piece of furniture out here. It fits. The one thing I will point out, if you plan on using a riding mower for this backyard, you're gonna wanna go up to like a double drive, which would be like an 8-foot double drive. Anything smaller than an 8-foot double drive, you're just not gonna be able to get a lawnmower through comfortably. Sometimes you'll see that the deck says, or on the lawnmower it'll say, hey, 50-inch deck or 48-inch deck. They are not counting the rubber grass kickout that sometimes, pushes it over 4 feet or over 5 feet, and then it makes it very difficult to get through your fence with that. Just wanted to point it out. A 5-foot gate here looks perfectly fine though. We would be centering this gate, so 8 feet off of the house, and then the 5-foot gate, and then another 8 feet over here. That actually does 2 things for us. 1, aesthetically, it's centered. And number 2, our spacing for all of our fences, including chain link, is 8-foot maximums. So that's a perfect post spacing there. We would then be sneaking down the side of your property here. And just like I did look it up on the Cedar Falls GIS software, you already are aware there is a drainage easement back here, which this whole kind of development does have drainage easements. You can see with the neighbor fences. The good thing is we can cheat off of other people's work. So that wooden fence in the back there gives me a really good basis of, hey, this location right here is going to be where we're going to be able to put your fence without being concerned about this drainage easement. Now we would be going down this direction, and the other gate that we had that you had suggested or requested was a single walking gate. I wanted to put a 5-foot walking gate here versus a 4 because usually it's for maintaining this grass in the back here. And if you're going to need to get through a 5-foot up there, you're going to need to get that same lawnmower through a 5-foot in the back. And so the other thing is 24 feet, intervals of 8, off from the corner, boom, puts us right in front of your door. So you would have your walking gate will be right in front of your sliding door. So I tend to kind of like that because you can see it and it's a little more aesthetically pleasing. Now, we would be walking straight down to this corner and then hanging a left towards the street again. So hitting the corner. The good thing is measuring 10 feet off of that house, you can see kind of my line from my wheel right there. If I turn right around, you are right in line with that neighbor's fence. So it'll look nice and square. We're not obviously close to that fence. We're probably 20 feet away, but the lines with your fence, their fence, the surrounding area are gonna look real nice. Then heading down this direction, there is a very minor slope right here. As far as any type of fence that you choose, does not make a difference. This is easy. If we were gonna put a gate here, that would be a different story. I would actually, camera shows slopes really rough. So if you're looking and being like, what slope? It has maybe over 4 feet. It probably drops 2 to 3 inches. If we were going to put a gate here, we would be racking the gate is what it's called. So we're actually adjusting the slope of the gate. So it's not a rectangle or a square gate, it's a kind of a rhombus or if you will. So that way it matches the slope going down the hill. We would be coming right off the edge here with the fence. I try to stay on the outside of gutters if possible. And that is your fence.
Well, we just wrapped up that consultation. Went really well as far as the terrain, seeing what kind of area we're working with. One of the big things that I like to point out to homeowners in the Arbor Ridge area, or a lot of anything really west of Hudson Drive in Cedar Falls, is there are easements, drainage easements everywhere. And a lot of times when a homeowner purchases their home, they don't necessarily know that that easement is there. Sometimes they're 8 feet off of your property line, 10 feet off of your property line. Like I point out in this video walkthrough, this particular yard, when I pulled up the Cedar Falls GIS system, it says, hey, 10 feet off your back property pin into your yard is the closest you can ever build anything. And that is simply to allow for drainage, and no one wants their house to get flooded, and no one wants a fence contractor blocking a drainage easement just because they weren't following the rules. So we make sure to coordinate with Cedar Falls, get the permits, stuff like that. The big thing with those is sometimes when you're installing along that back property line, even though you're inside that drainage easement, there's a lot of times rocks that are 2-3 feet into the ground, you know, the size of this. I mean, big rocks where you're not just gonna get it out of the way. You gotta pry that rock out, reach your hand down, pull that rock out. It happens. Hey, that's part of fencing. So you gotta get your hands dirty when you get out there to do things sometimes. But other than that, the terrain was really clean, really organized, nice, even lines all the way through. And whatever fence this homeowner chooses, it's gonna be a great one.